what was showcased in the trailer is not even part of this movie, which felt like a false promise to me.
You have two Pakistanis here on this podcast talking about Dhurandhar. If that is a problem for you, I probably don't respect your opinion anyway, so you can do what you want.
In one line, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience of 3.5 hours.
My family's from Karachi, but this is not my Karachi.
Our Madhavan said every terrorist attack that happens in the world is always out of Pakistan. That is a problematic dialogue.
If you see the comment section of people who are criticizing the movie, like you're anti-nationalist if you don't like this movie, that makes me disappointed at the state of the country.
Why did Sanjay get didn't get any wig budget here? Like, what happened? And it's like the wig is like shifting when he's shooting the gun. It's like you can see it shift a little bit. Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined with my lovely co-host Sujoy. Hey Sujoy.
Okay, hey everybody.
Yeah, now we can. Good. Amrita has decided not to join us, so we have Razia with us. Our new friend Razia. Hey Razia, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and I'm very happy to be here.
So you run a Bollywood Classic Collection. Give us a short plug what that is.
Bollywood Classic Collection started as a platform that wanted to innovate, revisiting old classic films in the name of merchandise, and now has become a platform where we discuss Bollywood films, reviews, revisit old films, and just have a really nice community of people come together.
Yeah, so I've been following Razia for a very long time. I follow her on TikTok. I love her content, and we have recently become friends too. So this is all great. We're reviewing Dhurandhar this episode, and I want to start.
I'm so proud of you, Asim, for saying the name right finally.
Because I heard it in the movie, so now it's like confirm ho gaya ki bolte kaise. So that's good that they clarified that. But I want to start with a few disclaimers here because I know this movie is kind of a very touchy subject. This is going to be on YouTube, so a lot of new people find us, that don't know our voice. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that reviewing movies is a subjective art. It is not objective. It is not a scoring point. So personal biases seep in, and that's just normal. So people will have to live with that. Second disclaimer, you have two Pakistanis here on this podcast talking about Dhurandhar. If that is a problem for you, there's enough other podcast reviews out there that can give you an opinion from an Indian perspective. This movie is set in Karachi. This is set in Pakistan. So I feel we have a complete, we're allowed to talk about it. We were allowed to talk about anything. We will not be censoring our views and our point of views. I would also suggest go back to our 300 episodes, so that way you can see what kind of personality we have, what kind of biases we have, what kind of what kind of things we veer towards. And the third disclaimer is we are going to be splitting this conversation in kind of two parts. There's going to be a timestamp, so you can. The second part is going to be more of a Pakistani personal point of view. So those are three disclaimers I've given you.
And the fourth one is that I am the representative of the Indian perspective, which is not great, I would say, to begin with. Yeah.
So all those disclaimers are here. And if you have not followed that, I'll also say I probably don't respect your opinion anyway. So you can do what you want. But I just wanted to kind of say this. So let's start talking about Dhurandhar. I want to start with Razia. What did you think of the movie? With just general thoughts.
What I'm about to say is very objective, and so therefore I really did enjoy the film. As a Pakistani, born and bred in London, I can recognize where good cinema is being portrayed, where I can take away my own personal biases, because if I have chosen to put myself on a public platform to share my views and opinions and reviews on Indian or English cinema, I also can recognize that there are biases that sometimes we have to poke before we kind of go and publicly speak to certain things. So in one line, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience of 3.5 hours. I really enjoyed, there's so much I would say, but I'm going to leave it at I did enjoy it. Yeah.
Sujoy, man, what about you?
Yeah.
We sat, close, aspas.
As close as could be.
Yeah. And the movie just, I think, drifted us apart. No, as in the sentiments were very much shared though, because I think I did not like this movie. It felt very I didn't know who well, I do exactly know who the audience for this movie is, and Aditya Dhar plays to that audience, and unfortunately, that audience is not me. If you take away everything that this movie stands for, the politics of this movie, the stance of this movie, and just look at it from the lens of an action thriller, a spy thriller, a gang thriller, a gangster war, crime drama, whatever, it just falls apart in all those perspectives. I don't see the spectacle in it that it promised to be. Not only that, if you watch the trailer and there is a bit of a short reel, like a showcase reel of the Ranveer Singh being this lead man and sort of plowing through the gang war, as it is set up as he's the wrath of God or something in titles, and that becomes the show reel at the end of the movie. So that is what was showcased in the trailer is not even part of this movie, which felt like a false promise to me. So I was promised something and nothing was delivered on it. And I have a big problem when I believe the editor of this movie is Aditya Dhar's brother, who has sort of edited this movie catering to TikTok audiences or Instagram audiences who are so used to seeing closed captioning. So there are literal scenes in the movie where the dialogue appears as, bold text, especially that "Ghayal hai to ghatak hai" scene, which I don't think Gen Z people will even get it. This is a very typical Sunny Deol reference, which I don't think people have watched it, and I don't, that certainly cheapens it out for me. So overall, it felt very like overpromised and underdelivered, unlike you podcast.
So I really wanted to watch this one because it's been really hyped as a big movie, like the final big movie for 2025. We're currently preparing our best of 2025 episodes. So I'm watching a lot of movies that I kind of missed out on. So I don't feel the conversation would have been complete without watching this movie. Yeah. I knew... we've seen Aditya Dhar's previous work. We've seen what he has produced. So we understand the point of view and the lens that he carries on a lot of topics that he's very invested in. Like he's very invested in the India-Pakistan clashes and the spy genre and manipulation and all of these things that he's very, very invested in. And he also has almost like he wants to be very clinical in it, like very clinical, very fact-based to a certain degree. And I felt the problem that I was really having watching the movie is that the marketing is all over the place. What it promises us is not what the movie delivers. And I really had trouble sitting through those 3 hours because the trailer, especially when that track drops with Hanuman, is so fast-paced. It's so blood-thumping. And this movie is not that. This movie is a very slow-paced kind of... Almost feels like The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio. That's kind of what I was kind of thinking of, like undercover and very tense situations and being confronted with horrors that you're seeing that you have to kind of keep calm and keep your emotions in check because what can happen if you get discovered. But what the movie had promised to me was almost kind of like a bloodthirsty animal kind of kill kind of movie. And it's not that. And I think it was kind of like, it took me like almost 45, 50 minutes to kind of even get settled in the world that this movie has created. And then for me, the movie also didn't work for me at all. Like it kept dragging for a very long time. There was a point where they were at chapter 7 and you and me started laughing like, aur kitne chapter hain? Like it just keeps going on and on and on. And I just felt like none of the performances were for me that great. None of the action pieces stood out for me. There was like those chase sequences, the finale. Like one of the problems that I had with the finale also is that Ranveer is fighting. The big fight is with this random henchman, And I was like, wait, we've sat through 3 hours of this. Why is the big, like, that's the big fight, right?
Yeah.
Why is he fighting a henchman that had no dialogue whatsoever? And then you end up with the next part will be in March. And then they show us some parts of what's coming, and those are all the parts from the trailer. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, so the chain, the smoking, the cigar with the dynamite, all of that is for the second part. And then also they have this part where at the end where they make the reveal that he's in Operation Dhurandhar. I was like, yes, we've sat through 3 hours, we figured it out. Like, we knew that he was a Punjabi guy, we knew he was, like, you know. So a lot of that for me didn't work. But let's start a bit of the positives, because otherwise we end up being super, super negative. And I want to come back to Razia. Like, what were some of kind of the standout positives for you about the movie?
Okay, how do I say this now with my biases? There's no doubt about that. I am a typical millennial who enjoyed watching Akshay Khanna, and not only is he very handsome, but he's extremely versatile when it comes to cinema. Yeah. So for me, I think it was a pleasure watching him. He didn't have to do a lot of gory scenes or action scenes to show his dahshat, right? He came on screen, he showed a little facial expression, and the dahshat was very dahshating, right? Like, you are afraid of this villain. And his smirk, his little dimples, the hair, finally, thank you for whoever decided to put that on him. I really enjoyed watching him, and I think that that's a very popular opinion. It's similar to Animals, Bobby Deol's little short cameo. So for me, that was a standout performance because I've missed him as a millennial. That's the only biased opinion I have. Objectively, I really enjoyed Ranveer Singh. I think he embodied the character so much. He was very good looking, and he embodied the character so well that as an audience, I did think, is he going to fold now? Because I, as an audience, have started to even listen and believe that he really cares about this Lihari gang, and, you know, he wants to be a part of them. And I felt like maybe the route might be, and again, I could be really off, which obviously I was. Sorry, that was a spoiler, but he basically might start emotionally getting involved with the people there, and therefore he may not kind of carry on with his spy thriller situation. Obviously the film does a whole circle moment, and we know exactly what happens. So for me, I think those two characters are really good. The one that I didn't expect, which I know that the Indian audience they love talking about age gap. Oh my goodness, age gap. As if it hasn't been happening for decades, as if it's not going to happen going forward, as if it's not happening in our society today. For me, I think Sarah did a phenomenal job. The chemistry between her and Ranveer Singh, 11 on 10. I really, really enjoyed watching her. I really enjoyed watching their chemistry. I really did not feel uncomfortable having an older man being with this very young girl, which was also addressed, clever, by the way, because they knew that that would be a critical point for today's audience. Oh God, I'm going to say this about everyone, but Sanjay Dutt too. I am such an OG Sanjay Dutt fan as well. I love him. His shalwar kameezes, when he came, and the way that they showed kind of the Pakistani culture, like, you know, like, it's not the surma look and that boring, annoying sound that they have in the background. For once, he looked like a Pakistani. He came, he had that kind of, what do you call that? Not dahshat, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, like screen presence. He came, yeah, like the screen presence when the music started. I really enjoyed all of that. Like, every single lead had their own song. Those songs were very, the NDA, I would say, of each one of those songs, even though they're old, maybe Indian or Pakistani songs, was very Pakistani-esque. So I did enjoy that. And I did like the shalwar kameezes, and I did like the swag, and I did like the locations and the way that it was shot. I will pause there because I know you have different opinions and you are from Karachi. So yeah, that's me.
I did like that, like, all of the budget of the wig was spent on Akshay's wig and not on Sanjay's wig. Like, I was like, why did Sanjay get didn't get any wig budget here? Like, what happened? You know, like, and it's like the wig is like shifting when he's shooting the gun. It's like you can see it shift a little bit. It's like, it's hilarious. But yeah, that wig that Akshay has is that's like, yeah, I got jealous clearly because, yeah, I have no hair. I was like, where? Googling Akshay's wig, where? Sujoy, what about you?
Yeah, the cinematography and the set design of this movie is top notch. I think it feels like lived in, and, you know, they sort of built, rather than just a sound stage, they properly built a set where this whole entire Gotham-esque city of Leari is being set, full of gang violence, full of neighborhoods, full of, you can see the layers that they've created to make this world completely realized on screen. The more I talk about it, it becomes negative, though.
Yeah. Like, no, but I know you and me both like the music too, right? Especially
Yes.
both of us really like that song in the wedding. I think that one was really, really cool.
Yeah.
What was it called again? You didn't like it, Razia, that one?
No.
That's the one you didn't like?
That's the one I actually did not like. Like, I like the
It
push.
sort of does not gel with the complete movie because it takes you out because it's like a item song, I
It is
guess.
clear, yeah. It's clearly an item song, yeah, yeah. But I like it because it was kind of taking me out of the movie a little bit. Maybe that's why I liked it. I just liked kind of the setup on it, in it, and stuff like that. So
it's called Shararat.
Shararat, yeah. Well, all the songs are really good, and also
Yeah.
more than the songs, it's the music drops. Like the needle drops are really good, and they're really done impactfully. And I think especially Hawa Hawa when Sanjay Dutt is coming and you see his Peshwari chappal and stuff like that. That's a really cool thing, and that's such Pakistani coded, right? That chappal is like, it's very yeah.
Also, I believe the background score of this movie is doing a lot of the heavy lifting to make this movie feel kinetic.
Yeah.
Because it's such a verbose 3-hour 50 or 3-hour 40 minutes long movie. So it sort of tries to keep the pace going with the music. And I'm not sure how successful it is, but kudos to the background score and the soundtrack of this movie. But also, like, it felt sort of, I don't know what they were going for with the needle drops in a way, because you see that this story is set in the 2000s, and then you go to the shadis and they are playing 80s disco music, and the Om Shanti Om playing in the dukan, and I don't know what that means. But then at the same time, you have the burger gang who are partying to proper 2000s music.
Yeah. Yeah, but the movie also spans quite a long era when you think about it, right? Like almost 8-9 years. I couldn't keep track. I'll be honest. I tried to, but I lost track.
But may I chime in? I think that's a really interesting point that he makes, and I find that in Pakistan, and this might not be just limited to Pakistan, by the way, they do tend to listen to older music, even
the classics,
in time, right? Like even today, the rickshaws, they're still playing the 90s and 80s songs, but we're in 2025, so that might be it's a valid point though.
Yeah, I mean, any wedding you'll still have Shadmanis playing, like, and that's like, what is that, like 60, like, so there's a few of these classics, but I don't think that classic would be playing, the one that was playing in the wedding. Like, I literally never heard of it. But again, this is now like, I don't want to talk about what I felt real or not. So music worked for me. I think the production design is also really well done. It feels like the clothes, like they have clearly done a lot of Googling and like investigation and conversations about the look, how people would look. Also the romance or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it romance because clearly it is more of a kind of not a catfish situation, but it is definitely a espionage play, that it is an older man seducing a younger woman for kind of, advancing what they want to advance in terms of the mission. And I think that's a struggle that you see a few times on Ranveer's expression, where there was that meme that was going around on Twitter, like, oh, he's eating beef and he's crying. Like, oh my God, these sacrifices these spies do for us. And I was like, dude's coming from Afghanistan. He's clearly gorged on beef. And that scene wasn't even representative of that at all. It was just that he'd been stuck there for a very long time already. And it was just like taking a toll on him, right? It had nothing to do with beef eating. But I do feel there was a moment where just before the wedding, she was clearly in love with him, and there was a moment of, what am I doing to this young girl, right? But at the right moment, you do see kind of the background and the flashbacks of what's going to be revealed in the second part, and the horror of that is probably what's justifying his kind of motivations and things like that. I like the set design. I can some of the performances were okay, but I didn't like even Akshay's performance. For me, there was so much hype about it, but I feel none of these characters have really been developed. Like
Yeah.
I don't like Akshay's is the only one that I understand. He loves his wife, he loves his kid, which is base level. But what else is this character about? What else does he want? What else does he need? I think none of that is really explored. For me, the movie basically is just saying, Karachi is the Wild West. You go for a juice and you get raped in the street, which like crazy. And then and everybody is evil. Like everybody. There are no good people around here except the young girl, the innocent girl. But even then, she's somebody who betrays her own father, right? So nobody can be trusted in this world. Yeah, there was not too much to hang on, and I felt just the length and the ending dragged on for me. But those were really the only two positives that kind of that really stood out for me. But let's talk about just the story itself a little bit. And I think now we need to start getting into the Pakistani part of it, just because Razia, you mentioned it too. I'll have to say I'm from Pakistan. My family's from Karachi, but this is not my Karachi. I have people that I know from Liari, but I don't like. Beside going in, having some food coming out, it's not a world I necessarily know. I am very much burger. My view of Pakistan and Karachi is very sheltered, very protected. So, but beside that, a lot of it I did not recognize. Like, this is not the Karachi. Also because it doesn't show any beauty of Karachi, right? It doesn't give you any respite. It's all just, you can get raped in the street, shot in the mall, anything can happen. It is literally the Wild West, and it feels like it's only one level or two level above Kabul or something like that, which is a crazy take to take. Like, Karachi is a cosmopolitan city, a huge city with gardens, malls, cafes, mochi bars, everything. So, I mean, that's the one I know. But what about you, Razia? Like, I don't know if you've been to Karachi or not.
I
You
have.
have, right? So what did you feel about? Because I don't know also about the Liari gang and things like that. Like, I know people that got political asylum because they were from Liari back in the day. So it was definitely a very, very big thing. But what did you think of the portrayal of Karachi and just in general?
Okay. Objectively, so because you've mentioned in the beginning of your sentence, give it the Pakistani perspective. So there's a couple of things here. When individuals make documentaries or films, right? It is literally that. The beginning disclaimer of the entire film is inspired by true events. True, it's inspired. It's fiction. There is propaganda in the way that they showcase certain aspects of the film. Fair enough. How do they represent actual Karachi? I think that was never the intention of this film. This film is shown from the perspective of Liari and Pakistan and Karachi and the enemy state, if you like. But they only wanted to show the side where the spy is entering into Karachi, and that's his version of the Karachi that he saw because of the world he's entering in. The film, I feel, was never going to intend on touching on the malls, the beauty, the flowers, and da-da-da-da-da. And when you speak about Karachi, and now I went a long, long, long time ago, that a sense in the air where Karachi is dangerous. If you're not from Karachi and you're visiting Karachi, that narrative is there, unfortunately. And I'm not from Karachi. I am definitely not from there. So there is that safety net of, no, there are gunde out there. There are going to be cars there. They are going to come to the weddings and they are going to do this, the other. So from that perspective, I think this film has so many different layers that I just don't think we have enough time to talk about that. But the intention of this film was, this is an Indian spy. He's injecting himself into this gang, and this gang's world is XYZ, and anything goes in this, which is extortion, arms, fake, notes, money laundering, you name it. These guys are experts. For me, and again, this is maybe the Pakistani in me, even though I'm born and bred in London, that I did feel was offensive, was Madhavan's dialogue suggesting, because this is described as a fiction, like inspired by true events, R. Madhavan said, every terrorist attack that happens in the world and every terrorist, activity that's taking place is always out of Pakistan. Pakistan is a terrorist state. That is a problematic dialogue, and that is the narrative that this film is sharing. So your perspective is fair. I think it's very intentional that they're not going to show the beauty.
But I think the thing is with the movie, it wants to have its cake and eat it too, right? Like, and it's playing these very cheap magic tricks a few times, where, this is all a fictional story. It's not based on anybody, but it's all fact. This is all real. And I think for a lot of people that have literally never visited or never will visit, this is the only portrayal of Karachi you will see. And I think a lot of people will start believing that this is exactly what's happening. Like, you might have not been to Karachi, but how many times lately have you heard the narrative about London being dangerous, right? Like, people that are coming is like, they're calling and asking, like, will we get stabbed in the street? Will we get, and stuff happens. Obviously, it's like I think Karachi is like 11 million, 12 million people, if I'm not mistaken, which is a huge, huge city. Obviously things happen, and obviously it's dangerous, especially like, with all of the things going on. But same as in London, like when you live there, it's kind of absurd to think of it the way that only portrayal would be. But I also understand that what you're saying about, you have to be careful with your jewelry. We have to be this and that. That's definitely something that I would.
It's true for every Indian city as well.
Exactly. Yeah. But the constant threat that they show in this movie, I just feel this is the only portrayal people will see, and it does help that narrative that they're building. I think a lot of it was specifically when they have that scene where the attacks are happening in Mumbai, which were terrible attacks. Like, nobody in their right mind would say this was a good thing that happened, right? But all of these people are watching it like they're watching a cricket match, basically, right? That's the vibe they were going for. And then the movie switches to real recordings, right? And that's where I was like, wait, so what we're seeing, the movie is showing us all of these people, the ISI, the gangsters, everybody is watching it together, giving these terrorist calls, and it was literally the place where they got the arms. And now suddenly we're switching to real recordings, and then it's Handler. So, like, what the recording is showing and what we're seeing on screen is not the same thing. But the way the movie is built, it makes you believe you're seeing the same thing. And I think that's where the problem lies. I'm totally fine with, it's an Indian movie. It has its own agenda. It has its own point of view. But a lot of these things will have an effect on people because it's playing this, having its cake and mixing reality with fiction very effectively. And I think the lens that Aditya Tar takes, because he makes it almost like this is a very objective, scientific, cold approach. So there's I'm just stating facts. This is just facts. But you're not stating facts. Like, you're mixing a lot of half-truths in here, and you're missing a lot of agenda here.
And just to chime in, also, I think it's very problematic that, like I mentioned, there's a lot of onion layers in this film. And I think on the surface, when I watched it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But there was a dialogue by Arjun Rampal, which basically suggested that we didn't care if it was a child, an older person. If they're a kafir, kill them. Yeah. These are the nuggets that they actually wanted to provoke people by creating that, that real life footage. And in the same breath, they're also suggesting that the real spy that actually entered was literally the one handing the goods for that particular attack to happen, which directly contradicts the fact that was India ever involved. And that was a controversy around that particular attack. Horrific. It doesn't matter who did it. It's bad. But the point isn't that. The point is finger pointing. The point is any attack that ever happens to India, it's always Pakistan. But 9 times out of 10, how many Indian films have we seen that have shown that political parties will literally do anything to win, even if it means that you're going to blame XYZ, right? And yet the audiences are just not as sophisticated at times. And unfortunately, Aditya Tar does do that right at the end of the film, where he does the 5-minute recap and really treats us like we are literally 5, because he knows the audience he's speaking to. It's not people like you and I. He's speaking to a different caliber of people. And those caliber of people may need that because they might be scrolling on their phone while still watching the film. Not that I'm suggesting that the film isn't worth watching, but just putting an alternative opinion out there. Yeah.
Sujoy?
What do you want me to say, Asim?
No, like if you like, so I'll also say that, like, it does say, for example, it explicitly says the line that, most of India's enemy are Indians, and Pakistan only comes at second.
But at the same time, it's saying that in an era when he is very critical of the current government, which is the pre-BJP government,
Yeah,
right?
the previous.
So it's very reverential when it comes to the current state and the government, the governing party. Like I'm saying from Aditya Dhar's perspective, but he's very critical. Like he's sees the previous government as darpok and all of that, and always into peace talks and negotiating, whereas chest thumping, revenge, and shooting people in their houses is what he's going for. That's the image he wants to propel, and that's the message he wants to propagate. And that is what he does effectively by mixing realities and half-truths in this movie. And I guess, if you see the comment section of people who are criticizing the movie, if you see and scroll through the comments, they are all criticizing based on that. Like, you are anti-nationalist if you don't like this movie, because then I guess that's the job done, right?
Yeah.
And that makes me scared. That makes me angry. That makes me disappointed at the state of the country.
I think also it just very explicitly says, like, one day there will be somebody who will come and, like, muh tod jawab dega and ghar ke ghus like, it's really setting the play of what is to come, and what, like the current government, it justifies what the government now is doing and how it's doing it, because all of this happened before and we have no other choice, right? So that's a narrative decision that the movie is making. I'm fine with, taking that decision. And I'll be honest, for like somebody who's a Muslim or who's a Pakistani, we've seen enough anti-Pakistani, anti-Muslim movies. Like, this doesn't even, like, it's dust off our shoulders, like, we don't care at the end of the day. I did find it interesting from a movie point of view that it doesn't ever name the people within India that are creating those
because
things.
So it can't.
Because even there's a sequence where they're showing that these plates, the currency notes, are getting exchanged in Dubai. You never see the faces of these so-called ministers, right? So it's interesting that all of the blame is there, but none of the blame of, even the people that are supposedly the number one enemies of India, which are Indians, they're never addressed, never talked about. But all of the foreign enemies are literally named with the name on the screen, like, this is this person, right? So that was, again, like, an interesting, cinematic choice. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I just also want to point out a few of the things about, like, from my perspective, about how Karachi is portrayed. Because I think, Sujoy, you and me were also talking about it. Some of the visual effects are really bad.
Yeah.
Especially when they have these, they're clearly, I don't know, how do you say this, Sujoy? Like, when they put it on top of, like, not extra...
Rotoscoping?
It's not rotoscope. I think it's some they're overlaying certain like the eagle minar that they had, like Chil Minar or whatever it's called. That was clearly that one, and the roundabouts and a few other, like, monuments. It was, like, very badly done, and I was like, wow, in such an expensive movie where you put so much care in which AK-47 you were using, right? And has to be completely accurate. Then you have these other moments where it just feels completely fake. And, like, you and me, like, really, it was standing out for us, right? So,
especially when in the climax, when they are in the car chase, when the one henchman is driving his bike alone and he's taking a roundabout. You can clearly see it's done on a soundstage, and it's so badly done. Like, in a movie where there is so much money spent and you see all these, sort of easy way outs, it really stands out. And also, like, one of the henchmen, he crashes through the car window and gets his head cut off on the road sign. It was so badly done. It just it took me out of the illusion.
What did you think of the gore? We haven't talked about this, actually. Like, the movie is very violent and very gory, but I'll be honest, like, very quickly it loses all impact. Like, for me, like, the one that really kind of got to me was the torture sequence, and I think that's supposedly supposed to be very, very horrific. But there's a lot of violence, and I'll be honest, like, it didn't leave any impact on me. It just felt like bad makeup, and like it didn't work for me at all. And didn't understand the purpose of it either. Like, because I think a lot of times the movie does want you to have that "where's the Josh" moment from Uri, right? Like it gets your blood thumping. And I don't think any of those moments really landed in the movie. But obviously, I mean, I'm not the audience for it. It's not my blood that's supposed to be thumping. But I don't know. Like, for me, it felt cinematically, I could sense that this doesn't have what Chava had, that this doesn't have what Uri has. It just...
There needs to be a rhythm to it, and it needs to sort of build up, and it needs to be delivered in installments, right? So the audience has an arc of
Yeah.
anticipation, then there is the build up, and then you finally get the payoff. So there needs to be a proper graph, and these are basics of cinematic storytelling, and this also applies to action storytelling.
Yeah.
I went to watch Kill Bill yesterday, 4.5 hours. There's many setups. There's many chapters, similar to how Dhurandhar is. And obviously, I'm not comparing Tarantino with Aditya Dhar, but that's how the basics of storytelling is in cinema. And in Dhurandhar, it's very much haphazard in a way, because in the middle of the movie, when Rahman Daket sort of decides to declare war, and you have that chase sequence where he spots all these people and kills that. That's probably the most high we got in that movie, and everything else did not, because the climax needs to deliver, because that's the spoiler alert end of Rahman Daket. But we don't get that payoff in a way, even with Hamza and SP Chaudhry teaming up to kill Rahman Daket. That is a flaw in the action choreography, in the way it's shot, in the way it's been delivered. The emotional heft of that is lost, because obviously we don't know much of Rahman Daket other than the story beats.
There's a moment at the end of it where I was like, wait, is Donga the hero of this movie? Like, he got like such a badass ending. I was like, wait, is he the main character? Like, what's happening here? What did you think of the gore, Razia? Did it put you off? Were you okay with it?
Oh God, I think I may receive some critical backlash for this. I did not dislike Animal, and I did not dislike the gore in this. It was unnecessary. And second thing is, you're right, it did not leave impact. Animal did. I'm sorry, I'm comparing the two. What they're trying to do is piggyback at the back of the success of certain films, and we need to recognize sometimes when we're, similar to what Sujoy was suggesting, that there has to be a climax in order for you to understand why, the individual is kind of taking certain actions, because they were provoked in XYZ ways, right? My concern with this is the fact that they are showcasing, because it's an anti-Pakistan film, so I have to be critical for a moment here. They are showcasing just how brutal the enemy actually is, that they do not give two beeps, right? And so that provoking of, we have to kind of, it's like a puzzle. They're putting a puzzle together. Puzzle 1, it's fiction. Puzzle 2, here's a real life, scene of what actually happened. Puzzle 3, this is how brutal they are. Puzzle 4, Dhurandhar steps in and says, anyone that's kafir, kill them. We don't care if they're Buddha or Bacha. It's basically really creating this very underneath DNA of Pakistanis, and particularly Muslims, are a terrorist state, and this is how extreme they are. And majority of the individuals that are now speaking to the film after the film, right? So the aftermath is, oh, you think this is bad? They do 10 times worse. That's what they wanted. They need the audiences to react that way, and they need to show gore. Gore creates reaction, and it creates that kind of, oh my God, this is so violent. But to be frankly honest, I don't mind it. I did close my eyes in 3 occasions, so I did do the whole thing there, but I don't mind it.
I think
there's one thing I wanted to point out in that, and that they did try to portray Ranveer's spy attitude in a way by showing that he would go to any lengths to be a part of the gang, right? So they showed that when, even when he was killing Rahman Daket, Akshay Khanna's character, he already had calculated how he would die and what he would do after he dies. Like, he would take him to the hospital and he would make a scene out of it so that, he becomes the successor of this gang. And then in the recap, you can see that when he initially got recruited, it was all a scheme by trying to rescue the son, but using that as a plot. And it's a blink and a miss scene where he's profiting out of this tragedy. So the son is killed by the rival gang, but he takes his blood and applies on his shirt.
Yeah.
Right. So that is also part of the inhuman side of being an intelligence guy, where you have to look beyond the humanity part of it. And the second bit is the fictional hero part of what Aditya Dhar wants to propagate, is that even when he's down and beaten down, right, and he's trying to regain strength from his own tragedies, when he has flashbacks of his memory in that scene where he's completely beaten up by Rehman Daket, and he's like struggling if he's going to live or not, but he regains strength. That's a very typical Bollywood scene, right? When a hero remembers some sort of tragedy, and he has to, like Kachra and Bhuvan have to remember all the atrocities before hitting the six. It's kind of the similar scene. But Ranveer's character does not remember personal tragedies or scenes where he has been beaten. He remembers the Mumbai attacks, which is so weird. It's not a human memory, it's a news memory.
That's what I wanted to pick up on, because Razia, you mentioned Animal, and I think you're making that comparison because that's how the marketing wants to play it, right? Like they want to make you feel, oh, you got your blood thumping from Animal, you will get your blood thumping from this movie. But I think we also on the show, we liked Animal for a lot of the things, although we don't agree with a lot of the point of view that the movie had. I think it was our top movie of the year. I think
one of the top movies.
Yeah, I think one of the two problems that I can clearly see, and I think, is that Vanga, Sandeep Ravi Vanga, however you feel about him, he's a director with a vision. And I think Aditya Dhar is a director with an agenda. And I think that's where the difference lies between these two. And that also is just the fact that I think Aditya Dhar as a filmmaker is only 2 movies in. This is his second movie, and the scale is so big. I don't think he's able to handle the scale of it, So I will give him kind of. Also, Vanga is also 2-3 movies in, right? So it's not like that, But I feel
it's interesting that you say that. I would like to put that on a T-shirt. Vanga, the filmmaker with a vision, and Aditya Dhar, the filmmaker with an agenda.
Yeah, well, Razia is here. The person that can make T-shirts. She can actually make it happen. I think this was a good conversation. Let's any random thoughts?
I think that's what you said in your mini review, right? Because this movie aches for grandeur, and it has nothing to show for it.
Yeah. It's just like all of the moments that, for me at least, set pieces, the action, the story, the performances, even, they fall short. Like, this is not Ranveer's best. This is not, like any actor, I don't think this is their best, right? So
that's literally down to because it's written and directed by Aditya Dhar. He does not have the writing chops for it.
Yeah.
Right? When conversations happen, it's very much a TV series at play rather than elevated scenes where even in a conversation, when it's happening in a movie, every single second counts. And this movie has so many slow-mo shots that don't amount to anything. Those every single second counts in a movie. It's not a TV series where you can live in the world for 5 hours long, right? This in a movie in which like there are so many chapters, and even like a conversation particular scene needs to go somewhere, and it's just
It's when you want to soft boil an egg and you open it and just too much white in it, and you're like, now I have to eat it. That's what I felt like. It's not fully cooked, this movie.
I don't get your analogy, but I will let it go.
I understand his analogy, and yes, I'm with you, Asim. No, I did want to yeah, I did want to take a moment though for the music and the Balochi song and the kind of whole outfit and how well they actually did that. I know you touched on that, but the music is actually really good. And I really enjoyed that aspect of this film. There are certain good things about this film. From a character development perspective, I enjoyed the characters for what they were. Yes, their backstories are missing, but in a 3.5 hour film, I think they just wanted to show the kind of the spy thrillery slash kind of where the next part of the story is going to be. And maybe they'll do something similar to, I love your analogy, Sujoy, of Kill Bill, because it's on my to-do list, the 4 hours plus sitting in the cinema. And I think that's what they were intending to do with this film, but they had to cut it in sections, right? And they might even listen to this podcast and actually think about doing another part where they go back and then explain to us kind of the backstory. I do also like the fact that for once they did take accountability and responsibility to literally look at the fashion and what men and women actually wear and how they may or may not behave. There are some extreme vulgar bits where he kind of like touches him in the first scene, and that was a bit like, uncomfortable. But the music is there. Akshay Khanna is 10/10. I did really like him. Sanjay Dutt has screen presence like no other. Like that guy, you bring him on TV, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be a fan, right? But aside from that, what's that gentleman's name? Sarah. I know that's not her name in the film. Sarah's dad, the politician.
Rakesh Bedi. Yeah, good shout out. He was amazing, right? Like in this,
as like timing. Like I laughed a couple of times when he was like doing that little weird laugh, like he. It was quite funny.
Because usually he plays like a comic relief kind of character, and he doesn't get to play these.
He is very much the right mix of like slimy politician.
And, that was really well done. Yeah. Tu to mera bacha hai, like every time he says that, I thought that was really, really
with
good.
Everyone. Tu to mera
yeah, amazing. Yeah, and you get it. Yeah. No, that was a really good one. Okay. Final thoughts, Razia. Let's go to you. Final thoughts on Dhurandhar.
To come to me because I actually did like the film. Objectively, I do think it's a film that's worth watching in the cinema. I did enjoy it. I was not bored. I didn't feel like it dragged. And one of my selfish reasons for also liking this, even though unfortunately it is an anti-Pakistan film and I don't normally like to give airtime to films like this, is that there's a very limited times that you will feel aggravated by the anti-Pakistan-ness, but more about kind of doing your homework and kind of going into the backstory after watching this film, which I think a lot of people will do. Objectively, I enjoyed that it lured me into its world and I switched off from everything else that's happening outside of the cinema. That is why I go to the cinema. I want to watch a film, even if it's 3.5 hours, for me to stop thinking and just switch off. This film did do that for me, and that I do want to give credit where credit is due. Aside from that, I thoroughly appreciated that they brought in so many actors in 2025 together in a film, even if it has got a backbone of agenda being pushed forward. Even for a moment, if I park that, I thoroughly appreciate it. I'm craving a multi-star film, because in the 90s, what was normal is unfortunately just not normal to us as an audience today. So I'm going to take the little glitzy side and put that forward, because I know you two will take care of the rest.
Sujoy, man, final thoughts?
I guess it stands out as one of the stronger movies that came out this year because it's been a very lackluster year. It says more about the year in Bollywood rather than about this movie. So because the benchmark is so low, I guess. It's a movie made with blood, sweat, and tears, but it's not a movie for me, I suppose. Yeah.
So this week I saw a gangster drama set in the past, split into two parts, which was very gritty, a very masculine-driven movie, and the better one was Nishanchi out of these two. So I think we've expanded a lot. It didn't really work for me, but I know that it's going to work for a lot of people. Especially, I think a lot of Ranveer fans will try to say, forget all the agenda, forget everything else, like just focus on the performance and how much effort he's put in, which he clearly has. He always does. But I just sometimes wonder what he chooses to put his effort in. Like a lot of times I'm like, what are you even doing, dude? Why are you even dancing with the Trumps on stage? So a lot of these things that are happening, I have a lot of questions. So I'm not that gung-ho about Ranveer as a performer. I think he makes a lot of these choices that I find very, very questionable, be it Ranveer Ching or be it this, So I have issues with that. But I think I was just hoping for more. I knew this was going to be like an agenda-driven movie, but I was hoping that it would... the action pieces would elevate it, that kind of thing. Exactly. And it never did, unfortunately. And we're not paid, we're not bought. So Yami Gautam can, can't write a thread about this, but the comment section is there. It's YouTube. It's Otherwise, if you want to speak to us one-on-one, the best way is to join our Patreon. That's where our little community where we talk about things, and we have our lengthy discussions and a lot of extra content and early releases. It's the best way to support us. Go ahead, Sujoy.
I have one final question. Given that our feelings about this movie, are you still excited for the second part?
I'm not sure that I'll even watch it on theater. It might be just a Netflix thing for me, because clearly it's going to be showing on Netflix, and I'm not sure I'll do it for the show more than anything. But I don't know. I'm not aching for the second part. Yeah, go ahead.
I do want to give a recommendation, seeing as we're closing. There was 2 films that released. One was Dhurandhar, and the second one is a Tamil film, but it's available in Hindi language, called Spencer. And that does have gore, but it's a psychological thriller that I would say please watch, because it was pleasure watching a film that was done so well. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you're not interested in Dhurandhar, watch that on Netflix. That's brilliant.
There's a few good ones. Hearing good things about The Girlfriend too that I want to catch with it.
I'll put that on my list because of you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's it. Drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. And thank you, Razia. Razia, quick plug to where we can find your stuff. It's at Bollywood.
So a Bollywood Classic Collection. It's available right now on TikTok, where I'm creating a lot of content, and merchandise is also available on revisiting old films like Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, Dil To Pagal Hai. We did one for International Women's Day, and I have taken a short break just to recognize kind of what the market is really looking for. So if anyone has really good ideas around how we can celebrate and revisit old, Indian films, but still have fun with kind of the graphics, then it's basically real artists creating the art, and all we're doing is printing that on a nice piece of mug or a t-shirt. So if not that, then you can always listen to me on TikTok and Instagram, again on Bollywood Classic Collection, and basically hear my thoughts on films and shows. And thank you.
Yeah, I follow Razia, and it's always great. She makes great content, so I would suggest you do too. But yeah, follow us also. We'll be back with a new episode soon.
Thank you, Asim. Thank you, Sujoy.